once again, I want to say thank you. My name is Jackie, and I'm just going to get started with introducing you to our programs here at Penn. We essentially have two preparatory programs at Penn, and the question is always, which program is right for you? The Core Studies program is a classic career changers program for the individual who studied English or was a theater major or an economics major and didn't do the traditional pre-med coursework that you needed as an undergrad. So this is an opportunity for you to come back and do all of that academic coursework that you didn't do as an undergrad. The Specialized Studies program is what we call an Academic Enhancers program. It is for students who maybe did all of that preliminary prerequisite coursework because they knew they wanted to go into medicine or they wanted to pursue veterinary medicine or dental medicine, but maybe they want additional time or courses to strengthen their application, either through experiences or research, additional coursework. The Academic Enhancers program, many of these students are very strong students, so it would be a mistake to think that this is a remediation program. It is not. Both programs are very academically challenging and must meet the equivalency and the rigor that we expect here at University of Pennsylvania. Some students will find when you look at the website and you read about the different programs that you don't neatly fit into one or the other categories. Am I core? Am I specialized? Which is the right program for me? We're going to address that through some of the slide presentations, and we'll have a little bit of some suggestions about how you should handle that if you find yourself in that situation. The Core Studies curriculums, where I'm going to start, and the Core Studies, the Career Changers curriculum is a minimum of 12 course units. So at the University of Pennsylvania, a typical course would be 1 course unit. 1 course unit at Penn is equivalent to 4 credit hours on a typical semester, undergraduate semester system. And so we have a minimum of 12 course units to meet the program requirements for the core program. Most core students need at least 13 CUs to get the coursework that they need. And if you happen to be going for pre-dental or you happen to be going for pre-vet, you may find that you need up to 16 CUs to get the basic coursework that you need to support your application to those pathways. The core students typically take 2 semesters of general chemistry. They have lab associated with them, 2 semesters of biology with lab, organic chemistry, and another separate organic chemistry lab course. So organic chemistry is 2 semesters here in our core curriculum. 2 semesters of physics with 2 semesters of lab, and a biochemistry course. The biochemistry course is not a lab-related course. So those courses that I just mentioned total up to 13 course units. Additional coursework that we offer for those who require it, depending on your career direction: physiology, cell biology, microbiology, and histology are all courses that might be recommended if you're in the pre-dental or in the pre-vet pathway. Some students need to have additional coursework as well. Perhaps you need a calculus course because it's a prerequisite for a program that you're applying to. You're allowed to do that here. You might need to take statistics if you haven't had that, so you're allowed to do that as well. It's important to note, however, that our classes are rostered in the evenings in fall and spring. Summer classes are also rostered all throughout the day and in the evening as well. The Core Studies program is math intensive, and I have information about this on the website. Make sure that you read it and carefully understand what that means. What we've done is we've listed here for you the exact math kinds of operations that you need to have mastery of. If these things are unfamiliar to you, then you know you need to go back and do some math coursework before applying to the program. If you don't have evidence of prior college level pre-calculus course or higher, a level above that on your transcript, or having AP calculus, A, B, and BC in high school, you are required to complete a college level pre-calculus course prior to beginning your coursework here at Penn. You need to have that level of coursework with the algebra, advanced algebra, and the trigonometry to be able to do the general chemistry and the physics coursework here at Penn. In addition to that, just so that you know, I want to call your attention to the fact that all pre-health students who are planning to enroll in general chemistry or physics are required to complete an online pre-health math on-ramp review course, which is only offered in the summer session. So you need to really plan ahead for this. That it does not take the place, having a pre-calculus course on your transcript doesn't take the place of doing this math review course. We offer this math review for someone whose math skills are a little rusty, or even if you just had your pre-calculus course, just to hone in and focus on those skills that you're really going to need for general chemistry and for physics. This holds true for someone who might be in a specialized program, but is taking a general chemistry course or a physics course because they don't happen to have that, in the coursework that they've had before. So for any students taking those courses, the math on-ramp is required. There is a small fee for this course. Right now, it's not set yet, but I think it's probably going to be in the vicinity of around $100 for access to the course. It's a non-credit course. It doesn't go on your transcript, but what it does is it prepares you for what you're going to be able to do in those chemistry courses and physics courses for success. Core studies timeline. How long do I have to complete the program? Well, every student who comes into the core is allowed 2 years to complete the program. Most core study students start in the fall and distribute their courses across a 2-year timeline. We do offer an accelerated timeline that's with permission from me, from the director. There are exceptions when we allow a student to do this in 1 year. You must have a summer start if that's the case, and you must start with general chemistry in the summer. International students also must do this in a 1-year timeline, very accelerated timeline, because that is typically the requirement of the visa requirement. Anyway, those are particular questions, for students. If you're invited to interview, those things can be discussed at that time. We discourage any core student from thinking you're going to be working and doing this core program simultaneously. That's really against program advisement. Most core students are taking at least 3 CUs a semester, because remember, these are all laboratory courses. And at the University of Pennsylvania, 3 CUs or 3 course units is considered a full-time student. Core studies is not a cohort program. So this is not the type of program where every student starts at the same time, takes exactly the same courses, and ends at the same time. You do have classes with all of your pre-health peers. So you are in classes that are specifically designed for pre-health students. You're not in with the regular undergrads at the institution. You have a vibrant sense of community among your peers, but not everybody's taking the same, following the same timeline, taking the same, courses at exactly the same time, because everyone has an individualized plan of study based on your academic history and what's appropriate for you. We do not require students to repeat coursework that you've successfully completed in your undergraduate years because we want you moving forward and progressing. So we're able to evaluate exactly what you need in terms of coursework. The specialized studies curriculum is a little bit different. This is advanced coursework. So remember, most specialized studies students have completed all of those core courses. It is an 8-course unit or 8 CU minimum requirement. The typical courses that a specialized studies student is taking is cell biology, histology, again, biochemistry. There's some overlap there because a specialized student might not have had biochem as part of their undergraduate curriculum. There's vertebrate physiology, cell biology, brain behavior courses, neuroscience courses, molecular biology and genetics, cancer cell biology, pathophysiology, immunobiology, developmental biology, infectious diseases, and we also offer a whole series, an online series of human anatomy courses that were developed by the Common School of Medicine. Again, classes are held in evenings during the fall and the spring, and our summer classes are offered during the day and in the evening hours. What is the timeline for specialized studies? It's exactly the same. All students are allowed 2 years to complete their program, whether they're taking 4 CUs in a semester and planning to complete in 2 semesters, or if you're spreading it out over a 2-year timeline. So there are a variety of ways based on what students need with how they might distribute those CUs over a 2-year timeline. A student might start with 2 CUs and then ramp up to 4 CUs and finish with 1 or 2 CUs at the end. But it could be 2 CUs every semester, or again, 4 CUs in the fall, 4 CUs in the spring. There are a variety of ways and recommendations for how students can successfully complete that timeline. So you don't need to take 2 years. You can do it in a shorter period of time, but it depends on, what else you're doing. Many of our students who are in the specialized studies program are working. So these are people who are working in research and working maybe full-time, and they want to do this on a part-time basis. So many of those students are taking 2 course units in the evening. The evening hours accommodate a lot of things. They allow these students to be able to work, but for the course students, having those daytime hours also allows you to be able to get experiences in clinical settings or in research settings that are really important to building your application. So what happens if you don't neatly fit into the core, because maybe you've already taken most of those courses, or you don't neatly fit into specialized because you still have some of those core prerequisites to take? What should you do? I think you should read through the website and look at which program you think or assess to be the best fit for you and apply to that one program. Don't apply to both programs. You only need one application. We'll only review one application for you in a year's application cycle. So make your best fit. But what we do when we review your application is we evaluate whether or not we think you would be, that you would benefit from being either in the core or in the specialized. And we have that discussion with you if we think you might be better off in one program over the one you've applied for. So don't worry that, if you apply for one and it isn't the best fit, that's going to hurt your chances for admission. That's not what's going, what decisions are made on. Okay, so we will look at you as an applicant and evaluate where the best fit might be for you. What do we offer at Penn? why come to Penn? So there are a lot of post-bac programs out there to choose from. So I really recommend that you do your homework and make sure that you understand what we offer here at Penn, what might be unique at Penn that you're not going to find other places, and is this really a good fit for you? Is it what you're looking for? We have a structured STEM curriculum with comprehensive wraparound services. What are those wraparound services? So we have individualized academic advising and career counseling, flexible timelines, as I just described, with the 1 year, 2 year, full-time, part-time study options. We offer application, writing, and interviewing workshops. We have a discounted NCAT prep course. It runs December to April. We do that in partnership with Perlman School of Medicine and Johnson Scholars Program. We offer pre-health committee letters and application coaching to our students. We have virtual online community via a pre-health Canvas community where we post lots of resources. We have curated resources there for the students. We offer distinguished speaker events and alumni events. We have a weekly journal club, a post-bac society, which is a student governing organization, and a variety of special interest groups, such as the American Medical Women's Association and the Affecting Social Justice in Medicine group. There are a variety of other groups. So the groups change. Some are consistent over multiple years, but sometimes they change based on student interests. So this year we have a couple of new groups to add to the list. And it always changes as students, move on to their next step. New students come in and they have an interest in a certain area, and we work together to create a group to support those interests. We have a peer mentor program, and we also offer a peer education course that's non-credit, fully online, on the social determinants of health and health disparities in the future of medicine. How does advising work? Advising is really an important part of the process. Maybe you had great advising through your undergraduate program, or maybe you just really didn't have much contact with pre-health advising in the past. This is also an advising intensive model. It's an open advising model, so you have an entire team of expert pre-health advisors who are here to help you on your journey. In addition to that, several of the pre-health advisors are also instructors in the program. So they will be teaching you in course as well as supporting you in your application process. The first step, if you're offered admission into the program, is to hurry up and get your Penn key and all of your access in line and schedule your first advising so that you can sit down and meet with a member of the team and figure out, what your coursework is going to look like, have a study plan, when you think you're going to complete the program, and so forth and so on, get all of your questions answered. We recommend that you come in and meet all of the pre-health advisors in your first semester. And after that, I recommend that you have at least 2 advising sessions a semester with either your favorite pre-health advisor or, just rotate through seeing multiple advisors. We are not what you would consider a certificate program because you don't get a certificate of completion with the program, but we do offer certificates of academic achievement. Our programs are considered to be preparatory programs. They are non-degree preparatory programs, but we offer certificates of academic achievement in both the core studies program and the specialized studies program. In addition to doing well academically, you also have to achieve certain scores on standardized tests to be qualified to earn the certificate. The certificate is noted on your transcript, And you are sent an actual paper certificate that you can frame and put on your wall as well. We do offer a variety of linkage opportunities. The linkage opportunities that we have right now, there are 4 listed here for core studies. We also have an unofficial linkage opportunity available with the New Jersey School of Medicine. So it's a 5th one. It's not here because we don't have a formal agreement with them yet, but for the past 2 years, we've had students admitted there on under a linkage informal agreement. Also for specialized studies, there's Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine and Rutgers Robert Wood Johnson School of Medicine. If you think you're interested in linkage, the criteria for linkage, we have our own criteria within the program that a current student must meet. And then our linkage partners have their criteria that a student must meet. We offer linkage workshops every semester so that an incoming student can understand what the details are. And once again, if you are invited to interview for admission to the program, you can express your interest in linkage at that time, and your interviewer will talk about linkages in more detail. Admissions takes place on a rolling basis. Core study students are admitted in the summer and the fall only. So it's very important to look ahead and think, what is the best term for me to enter in? Is it, would it be the summer? Do I need to be taking a pre-calculus course? Maybe I should be taking that in the summer and coming in the fall. So there are considerations that you have to think about with which semester is best for you to apply to. Specialized studies, we admit students into specialized studies program in the fall, the spring, and the summer. The deadlines are listed here, and Faye is also putting them into the chat. So you'll have them there. They're also on the website. It's important to note that starting in summer of 2024, we will be participating in Post-Baccalaureate. So our applications will be available for the summer and for the fall in Post-Baccalaureate. Actually, they're there now and open and available for students now. So that's my brief overview of the programs, the 2 programs that we offer in pre-health. And with that in mind and armed with, the information that's on the website, I really invite you to think about why Penn Pre-Health is a good fit for you. So I think you should go through that process and really think about, does this resonate with you and what you're looking for in a post-baccalaureate program? And how do you envision participating and contributing as a member of the Penn community? We want to know that. So it's really important in, how we're looking at students that not only do you feel is a good fit for you, but we feel that, this is a good fit of a program for you so that you can gain what it is you need and the experience that you're looking for while you're here at Penn. There are some different links for you here. There might be information about tuition that you have. I have links that you can copy right now, and you can go to the website and look about that, about the success of our students. Where do they go for medical school, vet school, dental school? How successful are they? And other information about the application. And if you have any further questions at any time after, this webinar is over, the email address is there so that you can reach out to us and get your questions answered. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing at this time. And yeah, there we go. And I'm going to switch over to looking at the Q&A. so we can see what questions we have. Hi, Alex, how are you? Nice to meet you. Thanks for being here. You're 5 years out from your undergraduate education. It's proving difficult to secure letters of recommendation from your professors that far back. I can understand that. That would be a challenge. Are there any alternative options for me? I would look to professional letters. You know, if you do not have an ongoing relationship with your former professors, it certainly stands to reason that your immediate supervisor, a director that you work under professionally, if you've been working with a volunteer organization or a nonprofit for several years, you know, having a recommendation from a director of that program would be very beneficial. So something that's, you know, going to substantiate what you've been doing and speak to your interests would be really good. Okay. Hi, Bridget, how are you? Welcome. I'm glad you were able to join us this evening. I'm unsure if you answered this before, but would a committee letter be accepted for the letters of recommendation? If you're applying to our program with a committee letter, yes, we will accept a committee letter for your recommendation. Committee letters look different. They are different from all different places. So for our committee letter, we have a cover letter that describes our program. We have a composite letter that describes the student's academic history and goals. And then we also attach all the individual letters that are part of that committee letter. So that's what, you know, we send out as part of our committee letters. So depending on what your committee letter looks like, if it's just summaries or whatever, if it's not individual letters, then we may come back to you and ask for something more. But I can just generally say that, yes, in general, we would accept a committee letter. Hi, Garrett, how are you? Nice to meet you. Thanks for being with us this evening. You joined late, and you're not sure if I went over this, but if someone's accepted, can they defer? Yes, we allow students to defer. You need to request to defer. So if you apply to the program, the way that it works is all of the applications are reviewed. And then if you are invited to interview for the program, that would be a candidate that we're interested in considering for admission to the program. So that's a good sign if you get an interview. And if you're interviewed for the program and offered admission, I believe that you need to indicate that you want to accept the offer of admission. And then after that, you request to defer to a later term. A deferral can't go beyond a year. So depending on whether you're core or specialized, there would be restrictions on what term you could defer to. Obviously, because, you know, core is only a fall or a summer entry point. Okay. So, but yes, it is possible to do that. Hi, Emma, how are you? Are DAT, MCAT, and GRE scores required for applications for the specialized studies program? Yes, we do require standardized test scores. So I guess I didn't go over that in the slides, but that's on the website. So part of the application is that a standardized test score is required. Basically, what we think of when we think about standardized test scores for this program, either the core program or specialized, we're really thinking about SAT and ACT. If you have GRE, fine, you can submit GRE. It would be great if you have SAT, ACT, and GRE to submit them all, because you may have performed differently on all of them. So we want to understand you holistically as a student. For students who happen to have DAT or an MCAT score, because you've already taken those tests, we do require that you submit those as well. I'm sorry. So, you know, your SAT, ACT score And then if you have an MCAT or a DAT, you submit the MCAT or the DAT as well. They are all pieces of information that we use in a holistic review. We do not have particular cut points that we have for saying, oh, you scored this on this test, therefore you're not admitted. That's not how our admissions process works. Are you able to apply if you haven't taken them yet? Well, we certainly don't want you to take MCAT or DAT or GRE specifically for this program. Those are to prepare you for admission to either medical school, to dental school, or to vet school for those vet schools that still require GRE, okay? But we only really need the SAT or ACT for this program. Okie doke. Hi, Sophia, how are you? You'll be 5 years out from your last pre-med course at the time of your intended start date. Okay, you're in the boat where you've taken most, but not all. There are a lot of people who fall in between, Sophia. I know more med schools are starting to recommend applying with recent pre-med coursework within a 5-year mark. Would you recommend course studies or specialized studies? It really depends. So that is something that is important to have a conversation with at the time that you would be invited to interview. I think not knowing anything about your application, since you're sort of in the middle and you're thinking that you want to take, you know, advanced coursework, you could apply to the specialized program and then raise that question if you're invited to interview. We do have students whose coursework is old, maybe 7 years or so forth, and they have not been working in a medically related or science related field. And so they really feel they need to repeat that coursework. That makes sense. We have some other people who have their coursework is maybe 3-4 years out of undergrad, but they've been working in biomedical research or something like that. And it makes sense for them to, you know, continue to advance in their science courses. So it really depends on your situation. And that's what we do, is evaluate each student's needs and make those recommendations, you know, at the time of interview. So when our admissions committee reviews an applicant, the admissions committee will come back with recommendations for students as well. And then sometimes you'll have like a pre-admission then advising session to discuss the ins and outs of those recommendations. Okay. Hi, Julia, how are you? I have a professional recommendation letter, from applying to my undergrad from a medical professional that I shadowed. Is that too far out to submit as well? Well, I don't know how far out it is. I mean, it's probably best for this program to be submitting more current letters of recommendation, something that you've done more recently. So it seems like this was probably quite a few years ago. So it might be a good idea to think about what could I be doing more, you know, that's more current for recommendation. Okay. Do we have a minimum GRE score to be accepted? As I said, we don't require the GRE. We do require standardized testing, and we're really looking for SAT, ACT scores. We don't have a cut point score, but we really do expect, since this is University of Pennsylvania, that you are going to be scoring at least in the 50th percentile or above. Okay, so you are going to need to be strong on standardized tests, but we don't expect you to, you know, be knocking them out of the park, you know, from, you know, those tests that you took many years ago. Standardized test taking is a part of this process to get into professional school and beyond. So if you're not good at standardized testing, we want to help you strengthen that. If you happen to be really good at it, that's great, but we want to make sure that that matches, what you're doing academically. So we just want to see the whole picture, but we don't expect you to go take the GRE for this program. Just submitting your SAT, ACT scores is appropriate. All righty. Are research hours and other clinical opportunities required or highly suggested? Or are those experiences expected to be gained during the program? Well, if it's really good when you're applying to a program like this, if you have a sense of why, a really well-developed sense of why you want to apply to a program like this. Usually people understand that this is a direction, a career path they want because of some experience that they've had. So we like to see what experiences you have. In fact, I think for many of the specialized students, the students who are more mature, who do have experience, it's very helpful in helping them with motivation and to be really directed academically as a student in the program. But it's not required that you have extensive experience. So we want to understand how you've come to this point. We do expect students who don't have depth of experience to gain experience. Use the time that you're here wisely to gain experiences that you need to help you really understand more about the direction you want to go, so that you have really substantive things to talk about when you get to an interview. You really know why you're doing what you're doing, and that's really helpful. So that's why the 2-year timeline is really beneficial for students, because it does give you more time to build on your experience, your basic experiences. Hi there, Rohan. It's okay, you're a little late, that's fine. Let's see, you were interested in joining the spring, summer, or fall? Should I only submit one application? Yes, one application. And wait to hear the decision before submitting an application for the next term? No, you only submit one application for the academic year. So if you need to make a decision about what term you're interested in applying for. If you're okay with fall, summer, or spring, then apply to the one that makes the most sense for you. And if you're offered admission to the program, you can say, well, after I've been thinking about it, I really would like to defer to another term. And then we can move that application to a term that you think might be a better fit within that academic cycle. Okay, so we're not looking for you to submit an application to each individual term. You really only submit an application for one term, that you expect that that's the one you want to start with. And then if you realize work or some other, issue, maybe relocation or something else is going to make that challenging, then we can talk about a deferral and what would be the best term. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Okay, hi there. Are there any pre-med courses that if you have taken in your undergraduate, then you can't join specialized studies? So one of the things that we look at as part of the application to the specialized studies program is, do we have sufficient courses here for you based on your academic history? So let's say you were a bio major and a neuroscience minor or a double major, and we would look at all the courses that you had, and since there are 8 CUs required, do we have sufficient courses for you? We have a heck of a lot. So we have a depth and we have breadth of courses. but we want to make sure that this program will be a good fit for you based on what you might need. So I think I'm answering the question. If not, if you have a follow-up question, I invite you to come back with that. Okay. Hi, Sherry. You graduated in 2014. Would there be any refreshers I need to take before applying? I don't know which program you're thinking of applying to, but I'm going to just guess it might be the core. So if you're applying to the core studies program, I would strongly suggest that you look at the math requirement. And if you need to take a pre-calculus refresher course, then I would go ahead and get that out of the way. Because you hit the ground running in the core with two really math intensive, subjects. And if you have to sort of remember how to solve a quadratic equation at the same time, it's going to be much more challenging to be successful and have the outcomes that you want. Okay. Betty's interested in pursuing an MPH before completing a post-bac, and you're wondering if the graduate program GPA will be weighed more in the application than an undergrad. It's another piece of information, Betty. It's not necessarily weighed heavier. The MPH curriculum is not a heavy science-based curriculum. So it's going to be interesting. I don't know what your undergrad was, but MPH public health is a really great set of skills for you to have, and a perspective and an understanding for you to view healthcare and health behaviors. So and MPH is a great addition to any direction that you want to go in healthcare. But it's not necessarily physical and life sciences based in terms of its curricular content. So I don't know what your undergraduate studies were, but we would definitely want to see how you did in undergrad and what you were going to need to do in the post-bac program to really strengthen, your application for, I'm assuming it's medical school, but, I could be wrong on a couple of those fronts. So anyway, love to see MPH. People with public health background it's just really great to see them in this program. They usually do very well. Hi, Anna, how are you? It's possible that you mentioned this, but do you have a minimum GPA for acceptance, and what would you say the average is? Okay. I would say for the core studies program, we don't have hard and fast cut points for anything. We do a holistic review of our applicants. The curriculum here is very challenging academically, so you need to be a very strong student, particularly in the core. If you haven't had any science courses and you're jumping now into the sciences, you'll have to be ready, up to speed and ready to run with it. We usually look for a high-performing academic student. So again, while I don't have a GPA, most of the core students are, 3.5, 3.6, 3.7, 3.8, and higher. Okay. For specialized studies, if that would be the program that you're looking at, I do say that a minimum of a 3.0 is what we look for. It doesn't mean that if someone is below that they might not get accepted. We don't base the decision on a GPA, but we look at how likely we think the student is to be able to excel in the courses that they would need to take. So that's an important consideration for admission. So if someone didn't do well, which happens to many people in a particular course or a particular semester, or have a particular subject that was challenging for them. We want to understand that. So it's really important that we understand what your academic history is like, so that we can help to make a decision for what would be good for you. Hi there. Let's see. International students. Do we accept international student who's done undergraduate from the US? You're currently an undergraduate senior with biomed science major on a pre-med track and plan to do core studies post-bac during your gap year. Okay, I'm a little confused, and I'm sorry, because if you're already in the United States doing an undergraduate degree in biomedical sciences, I'm not sure why you would need to do the core, because I would think that most of those courses you would have already done as a biomed science major on a pre-med track. So I'm a little confused about that. And for international students on an F1 visa, it's a one-year program for the core. And that's a summer start. And whether it's specialized program, it's also a one-year program. But that could be a start in a different semester. Okay. Hi, Garrett. How quickly does one hear back from once you submit your application to the program? Once you submit your application to the program, your application has to be reviewed. Once your application is reviewed, if it's decided to interview you, then you're invited to interview, and you're scheduled for that interview. After your interview, you're reviewed by the admissions committee and a decision is made, and typically within a matter of days, that decision from the admissions committee is sent to you. So we tell students after they interview, it usually is 2-week turnaround till you get your decision. It's much faster than that in practice, but there is a process. So actually for applications that are being completed now, well, I'm reviewing applications at this point for the spring. The deadline for that is in November. We are receiving applications for summer and fall, but haven't started reviewing those yet, but we'll start reviewing those in December. Okay. Hi, Jody. You're a non-traditional student. It's been 16 years since you completed your coursework. That's great. Your ACT is from 2003. No, you don't need to retake anything. So just submit what you have. It's just like a snapshot from a point in time. Jody, obviously, it's old, and it just shows us a snapshot from a point in time. So we're going to be much more interested about why now? Why are you choosing to do this now? And interested to see, what your undergraduate coursework was in. And what you've been doing. So yeah, so we don't want you to retake the ACT, just submit the scores that you have. That's absolutely fine. Okay. Okay, this anonymous student's attending a foreign university and never took SAT or ACT. Should I study GRE to apply to the program? You'll need a standardized test score for the program. So if the easiest one for you to obtain is a GRE, then you'll need a GRE. Okay, another question about certificate of academic achievement in core studies or specialized studies and advanced certificate. What makes these certificates a unique offering of the Penn Post-Bac program? Well, they are certificates of academic achievement. So they're saying that you, as a student, have achieved certain benchmarks in either the core program or the specialized program, and completed the program requirements with a certain, by excelling and mastering the subject matter, and then also achieving high scores on your standardized tests. So that's what it demonstrates. You achieve that through the courses offered at the University of Pennsylvania. So it's just, recognizing that. So there's certificates of recognition of academic achievement that you had as a student. Okay. Yes, hi Bridget, we do offer MCAT prep. We have an MCAT prep course that is actually delivered by Princeton Reviews. We do it in partnership with Promo School of Medicine's Johnson Scholars Program. It starts in December, ends in April, and this will be our second year doing it this way. So it is an additional fee for students. So every student in our program doesn't need MCAT, and every student doesn't necessarily want to, study for the MCAT the same way. So we offer an MCAT course. There is a reduced fee for that course, and it's just slightly over $1,000. And students are eligible to sign up for that. Okay, and you're welcome. You were curious as to what the typical statistics grades look like for a student admitted to the specialized studies and how many spots are available. Don't worry about the spots. We have room for students. I've never turned students away because we didn't have room for students. So that's not an issue. Typical students have, I would say the typical student is around a 3.3 GPA, maybe 3.4 GPA, some 3.5 GPA, 3.6 GPA, but wanting to bring up that GPA to be stronger, wanting to use that time to get more research experience or clinical experience to really strengthen that application when they apply. Okay. All right. And that's it for our questions. And I have 5:58 on my clock. So we'll be wrapping up in about another minute. So if there are any last minute questions, let me know. If not, thank you very much for attending. I hope that we did a good job answering your questions, and we'll be very happy to follow up with you if you have any additional questions. So hope to see your application soon. Bye-bye. Anna wants to know, do people have jobs during the day? I did say that core studies students, we do not recommend that you're working during the day because of the demand of the time in the laboratory courses. And many of the specialized study students are working during the day, either part-time or full-time. And NECMEX is not a test score that we would accept for admission to the program. Okay. Thank you.